US tapes could only store 60 minutes of video. That meant if you tried to record a movie off the TV, you'd find it cutting out halfway through.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me it now. He told me you killed him.
No. I.
No! Sony's first robot dog was the ERS-110, which came out in 1999. Aibo looked cool, but it was stupidly expensive, with limited features and none of the charm of a real dog. Aibo, fetch!
Inefficient. Aibo will not fetch.
Aibo? Aibo? It wasn't long before Apple brought down a rain of legal fire upon Samsung. Steve Jobs and pals accused the company of slavishly copying the iPhone and iPad, pointing to similarities in design, icons, and even packaging. CNET has advised me to have a lawyer present for this next bit, but let's be honest, Apple had a point. These phones were blatant The Galaxy S3 crammed in all these bizarre apps that are so weird you'd have to be the kind of person who eats breakfast with their toaster to use them all. You know I've never loved you. Its processing power wasn't noteworthy, it only had a few buttons, and its tiny monochrome screen could only handle 4 shades of grey, which sounds like some very lackluster erotic fiction. And then she kissed his hair or something, but he didn't like it. Tetris got us all hooked on the famous Type A music, which is actually a Russian folk tune, and is the source of a mental phenomena called Tetris syndrome, which can cause hardcore players to see falling shapes while drifting off to sleep, or in the corner of their eyes.
Luke,
Hey.
I just got off the phone with Kate from finance. There's been like a really weird problem with your expense report. Is it true you actually commissioned an entire waxwork statue of you for the office?
This made the iPhone 4 particularly impractical for left-handed folks, but hey, maybe lefties don't really feature in Apple's vision of the future.
Geniuses, berets, and iPhones!
Or cast your mind back to 2004, when it was predicted that Apple would soon be crushed by increasingly sophisticated, low-price iPod rivals like the Dell DJ, though I think we can all be glad that that never happened. I wanted to explore the science behind smartphone passion. Why do online discussions about Android or iOS so frequently turn aggressive? But as it turns out, grasping the intricacies of the human mind is harder than we thought. You come across a tortoise, lying face down in the desert.
Do you mean the desert?
Subject uncooperative. Sega had basically invented the concept behind the Wii U years before Nintendo, something that Sega and I have in common. Sega, on the other hand, was losing money, slashing prices in an increasingly desperate bid to make the Dreamcast a success, but shoppers just weren't interested.
Welcome back to our 500 of Sega's Everything Must Go Dreamcast price crash. We still have 150,000 units left, and I've just been told that if you order now, you will get me thrown in. I've been told that's legal, so why not pick up the phone?
It dawned on them that by removing the key feature of their product, they could create something much more exciting, an ingenious moment of discovery that we've been unable to replicate. Boosting the gadget's popularity by hiring young couples to walk around Tokyo listening to the Walkman, and presumably looking dead trendy. A nice idea that I suspect would work less well in cold, unfriendly London. Oh, this? It's called the Sony Oh, yeah, sure, I'm sorry, mate. This tech was adored by businesses who saw a way to be in touch with employees 24/7. Yes. Hans! Bubby!
Yes, let's talk business.
BlackBerry is famous for one feature that big businesses are absolutely crazy for: security. Sorry, mate, you're not getting in.
Look, seriously, Luke?
Yeah, it's Luke. Yeah, he's doing it again.
But then it clicked. Samsung had made sure that no matter where you were in the world or how much cash you had to spend, there was a Galaxy gadget for you. It did raise questions though about how exactly Samsung comes up with new phones. 5.3 is the size of the screen, but what is the clock speed? 2 gigahertz. And we'll call it the Samsung Galaxy Legs S. Say there are so many Galaxy devices that animating them all has killed my video producer. Yes, I need a new one, because it's all... Look, just send one quickly, all right? Oh, see if you've got one in blue, because it will match my eyes. Sense also featured HTC's famous clock widget, which tells you what the weather's like where you are. I've never really understood the appeal of that one. Hey, excuse me, sorry.
What?
Do you know what the weather's like?
No, I forgot my phone!
Oh, no, that's fine.
I'm sorry!
No, honestly, it's fine. I guess we'll never know. Cheers, bye.
Have you seen my family?
In short, the S3 broke the 1X, like Carthaginian general Hannibal shattered the Roman legions at the Battle of the Trebia. Look, we can do it if we green screen the river and the Numidian cavalry. We have the Romans played by extras, about 1,000, lots of catering. Then on my signal, the animal handlers release the war elephants across the river for the big climax. And scene.
We can't afford this.
It was more secure than Windows 98, though could be prone to the odd virus, and certainly wasn't above occasionally crashing, causing you to lose all your progress. And featured security pop-ups so annoying that they could hobble even the most futuristic operating system. The project took off with a shortened name, and a few years later we got our first look at the Xbox, which was shown off looking like a massive silver X. It's a good job they changed it, because that design would have made for a problematic sequel.
Ladies and gentlemen, the sequel to the Xbox.
And leaving Sony scrambling to think up a blockbuster shooter of its own. That's why Siri doesn't always handle accents well and can make major mistakes in noisy, chaotic environments. Return fire! We need to keep those fuel cells charged! Siri, get me Yeoman Fields!
Okay, I'll lower the shields.
Siri! Phone, but what if it also used your phone's camera to monitor your lips and gather extra speech data? This could filter out background noise, or maybe even help Siri understand us when we've had one too many white wine spritzers.
Siri, I need to know everything you could tell me about monkeys. I need to know what they eat.
I seriously cannot wait for the robot uprising.
Suddenly we could Shazam songs, read Kindle books, or chug a virtual pint of beer. In fact, it felt like there was an app for just about anything.
You there! Do you know where your monarch is? How do you know they're safe? What if they need your help? Every Englishman should install Where's My Monarch. Always know where your monarch is with the Where's My Monarch app. And never be accused of treason again.
When the Mayans predicted the world would end in 2012, I wonder if they'd been looking at Apple Maps. Of these would-be iPads was staggering. Presumably they all ended up in some landfill in the desert for future archaeologists to find and use to make assumptions on how we lived.
The dig taught us much about life in the primitive 21st century. Experts now believe the find was intended as an offering to a great and terrible god known only as Andrew.
If the iPad was a lumbering Tyrannosaurus,
the Nexus 7 was the Velociraptor. Smaller, but just as lethal.
Oh cool, the Nexus 7.
With iOS becoming more open and interconnected, it feels like Apple is suddenly much more relaxed, which is weird. This iPhone is terrible. It doesn't make calls, the battery stopped charging, I don't know how... The wider its ecosystem, the more money Apple can make, and the more valuable data it collects. Though we do hope it doesn't use this irresponsibly in the future.
Luke Westaway, your home tells us you spent the weekend in your underwear eating cereal straight from the box. It's time for you to invest in a bowl.
And trousers! Get down to Barry's Trouser Warehouse. 5,000 square feet of trousers.
International gamers bemoaned the comparatively high price of Sony's machine, especially in the UK.
How much?
You might think this was cheating, but what Beats did was spot a gap in the market. Products for people who would never have considered spending $300 on headphones. Plus, it gave me the courage to launch my own line of endorsed technology. Of course, knowing they'd been forbidden just made Beats seem even cooler. Some people are just born to break the rules.
As well as a bafflingly simple "It's Galaxy Note" slogan that got the name stuck in shoppers' minds. Wonder how they came up with that one. It's not a phone. It's not a tablet. It's Galaxy Note.
He's right, it is Galaxy Note.
Yes, it's Galaxy Note.
Popularity in the Asian market boosted sales of big screen phones, while shoppers found themselves unable to go back to a smaller screen, having had a taste of something larger. It would be like going back to Sterlet caviar after Beluga.
Poison! Poison!
In other words, it was hideously unequipped for any serious feats of computing prowess. I have the shutdown codes. How do I upload them to the satellite mainframe?
Don't worry, Agent. Any Windows-compatible laptop should do.
Ah. Okay, there's a small chance these things were terrible. The netbook dream was just that, and I had woken up. I had this weird dream. I bought this horrible little laptop. It had these tiny little buttons and these... Tony Fadell, who led the iPod's development, was brought in by Apple, having shopped the concept of a better MP3 player around to other tech companies. You wouldn't want to be the CEO that passed on that one.
Wilkins, this iPod business looks familiar.
You turned it down, sir? You said we'd be better off investing in a clone army.
Ah, yes. A grand clone army.
In 2002, sales hit 10 million, then 42 million in 2005. Adjusting for inflation, that should have made Apple a grand total of $2,000. That can't be right. 2,000.
No. Point one, times by 3.
I did the point one, but
you haven't.
Yeah, no,
not.
No, a lot of money. Acted too late, and we'll never know what kind of wonderful devices could have been created had it embraced Android earlier, unless we change history by building a time machine.
This is experiment 1! I'm going back to find out what would have happened to Nokia! I'm going in!
Luke! I'm you! From the nightmare Android future you're about to create. Don't go back! Just make this episode using your imagination instead!
Oh, okay, yeah, cool, sure.
As would that famous Nokia ringtone, which incidentally comes from a 1902 composition for solo guitar.
So horrible.
And sorted out the Mac lineup, paring the strategy down to a simple grid of 4, computers for at home or on the go, for personal or business use.
God, so simple. We should do that for more stuff.
As a majority of delegates agree there are simply too many animals, the UN proposes a new taxonomy it hopes will be less confusing. Almost as well as deploying a giant video feed of Bill Gates looming over everyone. An on-stage gaffe that called to mind a futuristic dystopia in which Microsoft rules the world.
Gamers worried that having 2 things to look at would prove distracting, or that prodding with the stylus would take all the challenge out of tougher games.
What the hell? You can't use that. You got to use the joystick like everyone else. That's just cheating.
Meanwhile, the DS's 2 screens, microphone and touch interface birthed a slew of excellent adventure games, while non-game software turned the DS into a cookbook and a portable library.
It seemed like there was nothing it couldn't do.
A Nobel Peace Prize, a papal knighthood, OBE, Oscars, Tonys, and the first games console on Mars. Tell me, DS, what's next? Silence is the sleep that nourishes wisdom. I think we can all learn a lot from DS.
Worth invented the image dissector tube and was the first to demonstrate an all-electronic way of transmitting moving images, allegedly drawing inspiration from the lines left on a ploughed field.
Television.
Sets were expensive, some countries had only a few hundred viewers, and loads of programs were weird variety shows full of juggling, marionettes and dancing.
Sorry, can't we try like a sitcom or a nature documentary or a car chase?
No! People like dancing!